Hello, Exomen Legacy here, and I just wanted to start this out by saying that people are being extremely disingenuous when it comes to their reviews and their takes on this game. For the most part, every time I look at a review for this game, the Metacritic, anything, a lot of them are just kind of, I don't even know. Like, I don't know what game they played, but they did not play Starfield. Yes, there is a lot of loading screens, but at the same time, when you're thinking about leaving the Earth in real life or any other life for that matter, how many hours do you want to spend flying to, let's say, Pluto? I know Alana Pierce just spent 7 hours flying to Pluto just for it to be a flat texture. Who's gonna do that? Who? I understand like the want to do it. I feel like maybe you hit that texture, it should just load you into the Pluto space. I think that would be kind of cool if they could implement that. Probably a modder will, but for the most part, people aren't playing this game for that. It's a Bethesda game. Bethesda makes their games in cells. It's kind of what makes it work so that you can have all of the things that you have in a Bethesda game that you like persistence and stuff like that. If you want to be able to fly straight to a planet and go off into the distance and make it there, drive down to the surface, just play No Man's Sky or Star Citizen. Those are more exploration games. I'd say Star Citizen is closer to being Starfield than No Man's Sky is, but even Star Citizen is above and beyond what this is meant to be. And you may never actually ever see Star Citizen actually ever release. It's just a money pit that's been 12 plus years in the making. No, my thing is that a loading screen like this to Pluto that takes seconds at best. It has a loading animation unless you land, which if you just go to fast travel and just hit land, you'll be there like this. But the thing is that that's nothing. Ratchet and Clank on the PS2 had seamless transitions where you would be flying in a spaceship and going back and forth between worlds. That was awesome. But the thing is that it's still a much smaller game in scope, and for this to be no loading screens ever kind of thing, it's not really a feasible thing without way more resources than this game ever had or ever dreamed of having. Now, other things I can say is that there's people who beat the game. They rushed through it and tried to beat it in as fast as possible so that they could just get it over with. And I mean, I feel like those people are disingenuous because I don't see them as the kind of people who would play this game. The people who beat the game, went and got a refund because, oh my God, it's a buggy mess. I'm like, I have this on my Xbox and on Steam, and I have not ran into any game breaking bugs. Yes, if you go and you stare at something long enough in any game, you'll start to see through the cracks. So NPCs that don't matter, mind you, not at all. Like they are completely placeholders for anything else, just like in Cyberpunk. Yes, Cyberpunk has different stuff, but they also have just different mechanics, different engine, and even them, they're ditching their engine for Unreal Engine 5, which who knows how that will work for them in their favor. People are playing on the easiest difficulty and saying that the game has dumbass AI, which yeah, some of the AI is dumb. It's the creation engine. It's been like that, but they're a lot better than they used to be. And for people to give Fallout 4 a good review and then Starfield a bad review, that's ridiculous. This game is so much bigger in scope than anything Bethesda's ever done before that it's not something you can just go like a Fallout game or a Skyrim and just be done. For the most part, I've played quite a bit of the Fallout series. I didn't go super in depth. I probably spent more time playing this game in one sitting than I really ever did with Fallout 3 or 4 or maybe 76. I spent a lot of time playing, but that's because I had friends to play with. I love the Fallout games. I love the modability in the Fallout games, Never got into the Skyrims and stuff like that as much, but I have them and I've played them and I go into the modding. This is probably the first one that I genuinely cared more about the story in a long time. And people say that the story's shallow and doesn't have any depth to it. So the issue I see with with it not having depth is that people aren't paying attention. They're not trying to play it. They think that one of the things that you do that's essentially like a fetch quest later on in the main story, it's not part of the main story. These are little bits that you go and do to progress through the main story, not to be the main story. There are, I'd say if I went and I looked, there are three, maybe four-ish factions in this game. And I'd say they have just as long of a storyline than the main game storyline themselves. This game has multiple essential campaigns or stories that you can go and play through that are pretty much independent of each other. You don't need to play the main story to have a storyline to play on to beat the game. You can go through the UC Vanguard storyline. You can go and try to unlock some of the other secret storylines, which aren't secret, but you know how to start them. I'm not going to spoiler storylines. You could go and be a ranger, that storyline, and they're long. They're not short by any stretch of the means. Planets aren't just barren places. Yes, when you have when you have I don't know why it's not opening up the map. When you have 1,000 stories, like there's 100+ systems here, which I haven't even gone to all of them yet. I've gone to maybe 70, and that's because I was jumping around trying to. I, I I'm just barely getting into the base building stuff. That's because I was trying to get an achievement for it, and it was actually genuinely fun. I mean, if you like playing games like Satisfactory and stuff like that, you could probably enjoy this kind of setup. But if it's not for you, you don't need to do it. It's not a requirement. You don't need to ever make an outpost. It could make things easier, but at the same time, just play the game on easy and you won't need any of those resources. I've never modded a weapon in this game because I've just been exploring and picking things up and using that. Like, I have good weapons and I've never modded them. I've never crafted them. Like, they're just good stuff that I've picked up organically going around playing the game. And people say that there's no variety in weapons, but there are so many types of weapons and so many different customizations that you can pop up and use for them. I have inventories full of weapons, like 46 weapons in here alone, which some of them are duplicates, but I go and I get rid of the duplicates that aren't as good, and each of the weapons do different things. I mean, it's a big game. None of these are cookie cutter from even Fallout, so that's a plus in my book. A lot of them aren't just real world weapons that got ported over because they didn't want to put their brain to it. Cosmetics, everything. It's a big game. So the skills tree is huge. I'm not going to go into it because I've done a lot already, but I have a lot to do. I'm not even rank 50 yet. So obviously I don't have that many skill points into things. Unlocking things is genuinely useful. I mean, yeah, you get level gated into some stuff because guess what? Well, not level gated, but you got to dedicate your points into things you want to do. And if you don't do that, well, you can't do things. So people complained, oh, I can't persuade. There's no dialogues to negotiate. And it's like, you got to put skill points into that. It tells you that right at the beginning of the game when you make your character. You can't do stealth without baiting the game. If you would have looked at the characters or the skill points when you made your character, you would have known that. Lock picking, these are skills that you would have to learn. I mean, in real life, do you know how to pickpocket? Do you know how to lock pick? Probably not. And if you do, good on you. I kind of want to learn, but thing is that it's not a skill I need right now. nor is it the skill that a miner on a random planet's gonna need right off the bat. So you kind of do what you want to do, and there's alternative ways to get everything done pretty much everywhere. Like, you can go to a planet and just kill everything. You could go to a planet and negotiate, sneak around. There's multiple choices that you actually get to choose what happens in all of them. Yeah, there's one ending to the game that I know of. I've beaten it, and I've gotten to the new game plus portion, which I'm working on the achievements before I jump through that because it looks even more interesting now. And yeah, I can understand people saying, well, why don't you just rush through the game and get straight to the new game plus for the extra content? It's just like, because why? Just enjoy the game. This isn't some cookie cutter linear game on like PlayStation 5 or some other Xbox games. It's not linear. You do what you want. Yeah, there's a starting point and there's an end point, but other than that, everything between that is the spectrum. And then don't even get me started on the pronoun stuff. It's like it doesn't matter. It's not a big controversy. People aren't refunding the game in droves because of something like that. It's just people on Twitter are toxic. The sooner you guys realize that, the better. You don't need people on Twitter. You don't need to feed into them, and you don't need to do anything. Yeah, it's fun content for somebody like it's me, Alex, and Fratinka Plays, but it's just grifting. That's all it is. People are gonna dog on PlayStation if they're Xbox fans, and people are gonna dog on Xbox if they're PlayStation fans. It's just how it is, and it shouldn't be. In my opinion, I don't think we should have Xbox and PlayStation anymore. We should just have, a universal console where everybody can play anything they want, and the only thing that matters is the games. When we get to that point, everything will benefit from it. Now, this isn't really a review. I just wanted to kind of get this kind of stuff off my chest and tell you guys that this game is, if you like Bethesda games, this is a good game. It's probably one of their best games. If you like Skyrim and not much gun stuff, it's not really going to be something you might want. But I mean, that's always been the case. There's always been a dedicated Bethesda fan, dedicated Fallout fan, and a dedicated Skyrim and Elder Scroll fans. Sometimes they're mixed together and sometimes they're not. It's just how it is. Everybody has their own preferences and what kind of games they like. Now, yeah, I can imagine people not wanting to like have as much loading screens like this, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. Would you rather have aimless cutscenes whenever you land everywhere and take out all the fast travel entirely? I mean, that wouldn't be a Fallout game, would it? Now, being able to go to a planet, like this is a randomly generated area of Pluto. You can see that there is stuff around here. So there's a little outpost looking over there, a mining facility. There's another thing over there you can go to. There's mountains. There's various things on places that you can go and do and see and explore. I have not ran into a barrier myself. Okay? The only time you find those kinds of things that would ever be immersion breaking, like a barrier, is if you're going out of your way to find it. People don't go out of their way to find things unless they're finding something to nitpick. And to be fair, 10 minutes in one direction and then 10 minutes in every other direction from the place you spawn, that's a huge map. That is bigger than most actual game, open world game maps. So, to be fair, I would not doubt it if modders put the old Bethesda games inside this game as their own dedicated planets. Like, that would be awesome. Now, the thing with that would be is that you got to remember that this is not the type of game that some of these people would normally play, and that's why they're not giving good, genuine reviews for this kind of stuff. People are either hating on Xbox because it's Xbox, or they're kissing Xbox's ass because they want to get review codes again. But the thing is that you guys need to judge for yourself whether a game is good. You can't just, I don't know, join into a game, look at it for 5 seconds, say, "Oh my God, there's nothing on this tutorial planet. What else am I? What on earth am I ever gonna do?" And it's just like, you guys are caught up in overhyped thoughts. You're caught up in trolls over and underestimate. You're caught up in what everyone else is saying about the game, and you're not experiencing it for yourself. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But we don't need to blow things up into controversy and, you know, backlash. And it's like, it's not there. This game, before it launched, had a 250,000 player peak, which is like the top 5 in recent history. And it's like one of the top for early access in concurrent players. Like, that's ridiculous. It really is. I can only imagine when it releases later tonight that it's going to be even bigger than that. And people are going to be breaking records. It was already the most watched game on Twitch for a while. It's the most peak concurrent than any of the PlayStation games that have released on Steam recently. And no, just what Steam says is not what everything PlayStation has, because PlayStation concurrent isn't reflective as just Steam. I understand that. But yeah, no, these planets aren't empty, flat planets. I mean, there's a structure over there you can go to, and these are just randomly procedural generated. And I mean, you can look. I mean, the ground looks fine, no matter how you look at it. The game works fine. The different stuff you can do with it, the different, you know, aspects of this game, the different types of weapons in this game. It's like Fallout in space, yes, but it also has way more depth than any Fallout game I've ever played. It also has, honestly, it's probably gonna have way more content than any Fallout I've ever played. And honestly, I give it high scores, 8, 9, 10 out of 10. I will continue to be playing this game. I'm gonna work on getting the last of these achievements, and I'm probably going to keep playing after that more and more. I've primarily played on my Xbox Series X because I can just drag that to work. I have it on Steam that I can play it on. I have a Game Pass on PC I can play it on. This game will go down as one of probably the best games on the Xbox this generation. Now, I hope to see you guys in the next one, but this has been more of a talking head video, a bit of a rant at the state of the gaming industry at the moment and the way people have been treating this type of game. And you know what? Maybe I'll make some Starfield content if this does well, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.